everyone, I'm back with an update finally. I've been wanting to sit down and film this video for well over a week. I just haven't had it in me to do it, to be honest. It's almost been 4 weeks since I shared the news that our embryo transfer to our gestational surrogate didn't work. Firstly, I want to say a massive thank you to all of you for your messages, your comments, your support, your love, your encouragement. I know that a lot of you, like us, had a really good feeling about this transfer and we were sure it was it. You know, everything, the stars had aligned and it just felt so right. And it was a massive shock when it didn't work, and I know a lot of you felt that. You empathetic hearts out there, I know you felt for us really deeply, and I'm so grateful for you. We're just thankful for your support, and reading your comments really meant a lot to me, so thank you. The last few weeks I have felt a ton of anxiety about what we should be doing next, and I don't know, just trying to let it all sink in and process it all, I guess. We had a review with our specialist 2 weeks ago, and then another phone call the day before yesterday just to ask a few more questions. We have a bit of a plan in place and I'm going to share that plan with you in this video, but I still feel myself questioning whether we're making the right choices, whether, you know, it's just hard to trust in this journey, and especially so far into it. We're just so over the heartbreak, and so I just want to make sure we're making the right decisions, and it's of course impossible to know whether you're making the right decisions until you try. So that's where we're at. Yeah, I honestly haven't been in the best headspace. I have felt unmotivated to film and unmotivated to do anything really. I'm thankful that orders for my book Little Dream have still been coming through, because that's been keeping me busy and off the couch, and it means so much to me, each and every order that I receive and send out. It just means the world, so thank you for that. So the plan moving forward. Liv's cycle is due to start any day. We are going to do an ERA cycle this month. It's basically like a mock embryo transfer cycle, so she will be on the exact same protocol for this cycle as she will be for our FET, frozen embryo transfer cycle, but instead of transferring an embryo 5 days past ovulation, she will get a biopsy done, and that biopsy of her uterus will be sent off for testing. It'll take about 4 weeks to get those results, and that'll tell us when her receptive window is. Every woman's receptive window is different. Some people have a very long window, some have a short window, and it might tell us that we are transferring the embryo too early or too late. So it'll hopefully give us a bit of an idea. It might just tell us we're transferring it at the right time, in which case, great. It is a very costly test, so it has taken me weeks to even decide whether or not we do it. It costs $2,000 to do the test, and there was a lot of going back and forth in my mind as to whether or not it was worth it, because if it comes back and tells us, yes, but you're transferring it at the right time anyway, is it $2,000 down the drain, or is it $2,000 for peace of mind? It's a lot of money to spend for peace of mind, but I guess it's one less question mark we have to worry about. It's at least one thing we know we're doing right, and it's a variable I'm happy to get out of the equation, if that makes sense. Embryo transfers in Australia to a surrogate are $4,000 out of pocket. So this adds $2,000 on top of that, which is a $6,000 transfer, which does terrify me completely, because that's a lot of money riding on this transfer. But at least we won't have any regrets, and we'll know we tried everything. So yeah, we're going to do the ERA this coming cycle. and she's going to be on the protocol that she will be on for her frozen embryo transfer cycle. Last transfer that we just did was a natural cycle, so we transferred the embryo according to her time of ovulation naturally. She was also on pregnal shots, just 3 of them. So the first one was 3 days post ovulation, the second 6 days, and the third 9 days post ovulation. This time, instead of the pregnal shot, she's going to be on progesterone pessaries. I've also asked for her progesterone to be checked more regularly for this upcoming frozen embryo transfer, just so we know that her progesterone is where it should be. I think a lot of clinics here in Australia don't tend to test the progesterone levels around embryo transfer day, so it'll be good to get that extra thorough testing done just to make sure that her levels are where they should be around embryo transfer, which makes sense to do. She will also not be doing a natural cycle this time. She will be on letrozole, and that'll just allow our specialist to... What are you saying? You want to say hi? You do? Oh, let me. Just your tail. So Liv will be on letrozole, which will allow our fertility specialist to trigger her and time ovulation, which will give us a more accurate pinpoint of when ovulation will happen. So it'll just be more specific to the hour, and then hopefully we'll be able to time the embryo transfer according to the time of ovulation. So those are really the main changes. The reason why I had a phone call with my specialist a couple of days ago was to ask about the SHG test, which is the sonohysterogram test. A lot of clinics, I've come to realize overseas, specifically in Canada and the US, do SHGs routinely for all of their patients before any kind of embryo transfer. The majority, I don't think, do them routinely, but there are quite a few who do, and I feel like it is better to eliminate any possible issues with the embryo implanting, like polyps or fibroids or scar tissue in the uterus. You're better off eliminating that before doing any kind of embryo transfer and wasting precious embryos. They're so precious. It takes so much time and effort and money to create them and then transfer them, and yeah, all of that should be ruled out in the beginning, I believe. Ideally, a hysteroscopy would give you even more of an insight than an SHG, but they're not currently doing hysteroscopies. My clinic isn't anyway due to coronavirus. My specialist recommended instead of the SHG we do a lipidoil tubal patency test. I believe that test that she recommends is more to check the tubes, the fallopian tubes, and not so much the uterine cavity, which is what I was more interested in. She says that during that test they do also look at the uterine cavity, so they look at the uterus and the tubes, which is great. My specialist also really likes the lipidoil, poppy seed oil that they use, because she thinks it has a lot of benefits in it, antibacterial and nourishing properties, so she seems to think that helps the lining as well. So ERA is this coming cycle in May, June. The lipidoil tubal patency test will be in June, July, and then our frozen embryo transfer cycle will be July, August. That's the current plan. Another worry that I had was that our embryo that's PGS tested, graded 4AA, was frozen on day 6. That also got me worried a couple of days ago, because I heard that embryos frozen on day 6 don't have as high of a implantation success rate as day 5 embryos. And then my mind just went into more of a whirlwind spiral, but I have since heard that a lot of PGS tested embryos are frozen on day 6, so I don't know. I've just got to trust and just hope for the best. It's just terrifying when there's so much money going into it and there's no guarantees. But I think it'll be good to have the time between now and embryo transfer day to get myself in the best possible headspace, and for Liv as well. All of Liv's 3 children last Friday got their tonsils out, so poor things, they've had their hands full. Their little ones have not been coping very well post-surgery. Yeah, there's been a lot going on. I found out someone very close to me is pregnant, which is obviously beautiful news, but also hard. If our frozen embryo transfer had worked, we would have shared a due date. There were just a couple of days difference, but yeah, that wasn't easy news to process. But yeah, other than that, not much else has really been going on in the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks. About a week ago, I wrote a blog post for someone who asked me to write about our journey to date, journey to baby to date, and that I found was a really difficult task, more difficult than I ever thought it would be, just reliving everything that we've been through in the last 6 years. But it also reminded me that I probably should share the last 6 years in a video, especially for those of you who are new here, and also those of you who have been around for a while. There's a lot that's happened in the last 6 years of our journey, and I feel like I should put it all in a video just to condense it all down. So that's a project I'm going to work on. I never got around to filming that surrogacy Q&A part 2. I need to relook at the questions, but I might try and do that as well. I hope you guys are all staying safe and well. Thinking of you all. Love and baby dust, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.